How you doing, man? Are you going kiteboarding today or hang gliding?
Hey, everybody, this is David Weiss. We're starting our Flat Earth debate with the Paulstal service. Everybody, most of you probably know me. If you don't know Paulstal, you can look at his channel, the Paulstal service. I'm going to do my best to answer everything I can about the Flat Earth and the way I see it. Paul.
Feedback, right?
Yep.
Okay, I closed a window. Go ahead and continue.
Okay, there we go. So I don't know everything about the flat Earth, but the amount of evidence that I have for the flat Earth versus the ball Earth is ridiculous. You know, I drive a car. I know that the gas goes into the engine and the engine ignites the gas. I don't know how it works, but I know I drive a car. There's plenty of evidence. I know that there's not unicorns in there delivering the energy. I'm pretty sure Paul will not agree with most of what I have to say, and I probably won't agree with what he has to say, but we'll mutually agree to disagree and move on to the next point, hopefully. And then you can all decide for yourself what you believe. The key to researching something new is to realize there's a question that challenges your indoctrinated belief. Once you know there's a question, you can work to determine its validity. If you have come here looking for answers with an open mind, you shouldn't believe what I say or what Paul says. You should think for yourself. Know there's a question, look into it, and try to make sense of the world we live in. I'm letting Paul bring up any of his concerns. I'll do my best to address them, and I hope that he allows me to ask him a few questions along the way. Believing we live on a spinning ball only requires a few things, in my opinion. Some GMO potato chips, some fluoride, a couch, and a TV. Understanding the true reality of where we live requires a careful analysis, critical thinking, no ego, and time. I'm almost done, Paul. Many of the biggest questions that spinning ball earthers believe require some visuals to wrap your mind around the new concept. I will be giving short answers. And I will be adding visuals and videos after this is done to help you decide for yourself. I'm here with an open mind, and I actually hope Paul can convince me we live on a spinning ball, because I'm not happy that I lived almost the first third of my life believing that who we are and where we live. The Paulstal service, who I will refer to as Paul, has done some truly amazing deep research into many subjects in the past. I know him best for his original Sandy Hook research. I think he knows that NASA is pure bullcrap and nothing they do is real, but he truly believes flat Earth is a psyop, and I'm a paid shill. With that, Paul, I'll leave it to you if you want to introduce yourself or just jump right in. It's up to you.
Well, I think we both agree that cars do not drive on unicorn juice or whatever.
I wasn't claiming that you believe that.
No, that's just a funny way to introduce the whole topic, like I'm some sort of a lunatic that thinks cars drive on unicorns. It's nice to actually have a debate with the flat Earth somebody who allegedly believes in flat Earth, instead of just listening to Patricia Steer drone on and on about nothing. And in general, just it's unbelievable that lack of material that actually goes into most flat Earth programs. So this is going to be fun. And thank you for having me on. And I hope you changed your shirt, because isn't that the same shirt you were wearing yesterday?
I was going to wear my NASA Lies shirt, but out of respect to you for thinking that I'm trying to link NASA to the flat Earth to discredit, the true research that's going on with NASA, I went with my The World is Flat shirt. I like it. And the truth is, it's my most comfortable shirt.
You got a clock too. There's quite an industry around that, huh?
Yeah. It's quite interesting. They make a lot of money selling those clocks.
Well, somebody's selling them anyway.
Well, I make them and I give them away. I sold a few. Probably cost me about $1,000 out of my own pocket.
Nice. Well, you got the vertical integration going on. That's good.
Thanks.
Anyway, yeah. Glad somebody's making money off the truth movement. Anyway, you're not kiteboarding or hang gliding? That's good.
No, there's no wind today. Thanks to the geoengineers, they fucked up the skies, and so I'm not too unhappy being inside talking to you.
Yeah, I'm kind of being flippant here, but it is nice to actually have a conversation with.
Well, let's get it on. Bring on. Let's go. What do you got?
Okay, what do I got? The first thing I got is called Sunset, You got this orb in the sky. It's called the sun. It's a big round sphere, and it goes down and it goes behind the horizon, and it doesn't just disappear on an infinite plane and become smaller and smaller and smaller into a dot above the horizon. It is huge. I mean, it's not huge, but it's very large as it goes down, and it never gets smaller and smaller and disappears like you would expect on an infinite plane flat Earth. It's just really that simple. You just watch any sunset or sunrise, the sun very quickly comes up from behind the horizon at the same size it is as it gets higher in the sky. And that's exactly what sunset and sunrise is. What's your explanation for that?
Well, this is where I'm going to keep it as short as I can, and I'll let you guys. I'll link videos to what I'm talking about, but I'll touch it. There's several things.
Okay, keep it brief.
I'm going to keep it brief as I can. There's different atmospheric conditions, different weather conditions where you see the sunset. Sometimes you see the sun much farther. Sometimes it gets blocked out by a cloud bank, which is...
we're talking on a clear day, the sun. You see the sun go down.
So here's the thing. Even on a perfectly clear day, over distance, the atmosphere builds up to a point where you can't see any farther. That's why you can't see across to England, or you can't.
No, you can clearly see the sun going down. There's tons of videos of this. You can see it for yourself. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about perspective. I'm talking about I have a video called it's in my playlist, How the Sun Sets, where I did an experiment with a string going across a level plane. And when viewed at from the plane below, that string looks like the ball following the string looks like it's going down at a 45-degree angle. The rest has to do with perspective, which I can't describe here, but I will link videos that will explain it.
Oh, boy.
And that's it. Now, in certain conditions, high, dry, clear situations, you can see the sun shrink tremendously as it goes into the distance. But even before it disappears, atmospheric blocking will block the sun.
No, it doesn't block the sun. You can clearly see the sun still, and it's the same size as it goes down behind the horizon.
So
you're denying this. It's like you're denying the Earth. It's unbelievable.
Well,
you're claiming atmospheric conditions make the sun invisible or make the sun impossible to see when it's clearly the same size when it goes behind the horizon. You're denying what your eyes see.
So there's when you watch the moon rise or the sunrise, it looks gigantic, and then when it gets overhead, it looks smaller. Would you agree with that?
No, and that's a perspective thing.
That is a perspective thing, right? So what we see isn't the reality, that we think we're seeing. We're seeing things curved. We're seeing things that look bigger, that aren't bigger.
What?
We're seeing perspective, and as things reach the vanishing point, they disappear from our view.
Okay,
and there is evidence.
How high is the sun in the sky? I'm sorry. How high is the sun in the sky doing its little rotation around the capacitor, which is the North Pole?
Do you believe that it's 97 million miles away or 93 million miles away?
That makes a lot more sense when it's not changing shape like it should be. If it's so close to us and flying directly overhead, it should be huge. And then getting further away, it should be a tiny dot. That's not what's happening. The way I see it is it has to do with atmospheric lensing and atmospheric conditions. Absolutely. Like if you look at something through a medium such as water, it magnifies it. Like have you ever gone underwater and looked at things? They look magnified from the water. The atmosphere is just thinner water, and it magnifies things. Some days the sun looks twice as big as it does other days. Why is that? I've never seen the sun look twice as big. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. It looks all different sizes depending on the atmospheric conditions. I will link videos to that.
Okay. I'll link a video to the sunset, I guess, where everybody can look for yourself, watch the sunset, watch the sunrise. Yeah. It's the same size it is when it goes up higher in the sky because it's millions of miles away, and it's hard to see any noticeable difference in actual size.
All right, so we got that. Can I throw one out, or you want to go again?
No, go ahead.
So what causes our seasons?
What causes the seasons? The Earth rotates. It tilts on its axis 365 days a year. It goes around the sun. and it's got certain wobbles too that create ice ages. I brought,
Forget ice ages. I'm talking about 1 year, this year, last year.
Okay,
what caused our 4 seasons?
there's a huge number of factors. It's first of all, we're dealing with the solar system. Okay. You got 365 days a year. You got the Earth slowly tilting on its axis, and that's what causes the seasons. When the Earth's axis is tilted in the northern hemisphere towards the sun, that creates summer in the northern hemisphere. Just like we get summer in the southern hemisphere when the Earth's southern axis is tilted towards the sun. And this cycle happens over 365 days a year as the Earth goes around the sun.
Okay, great. So you're saying that it's the tilt of the Earth that causes the season. So when the southern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun, it's getting more direct rays, and then they're less direct across the top of the ball, and that's why we get our winter, and vice versa 6 months later. Correct?
And that's why,
Hang on. You gotta let me respond.
That's why southern Argentina has days just as long as our summer days.
We're not talking about the length of the days. We're talking about seasons right now and what causes our seasons. No, so you're telling me that
seasons are caused by the length of days. So yes, it's the exact same thing we're talking about.
So it's now the length of the day, not the power of the sun, not the direct the angle of the rays. Which one is it? Don't laugh. I'm trying to understand what you're saying so I can respond correctly.
Okay. Well, the length of days is caused by the amount of sunlight hitting the surface of the Earth, which is the same thing. You're trying to separate these things. It's like you said before, basically the exact angle that rays are hitting and the area of the Earth that's actually being affected by sunlight is what's causing heating and cooling, which causes winter and summer. I mean,
so hang on. You're saying that it's what's the bigger cause of the temperature, the angle of the rays or the length of the day?
Well, it's both. It's both the angle of the rays and the length of the day. And when it's tilted towards the sun, you get more direct angles rays. And you get longer days.
Okay, so is it we're in an elliptical orbit? Do you believe that, or are we in a circular orbit around the sun?
Honestly, I'm told it's an elliptical orbit. Do I know exactly? Okay. No.
All right, I'll leave that out. Why is it that on December 21st in the northern hemisphere, as you call it, at 12 noon, when the sun is as high as it can be, from where I am, it's about 50 degrees off the horizon on a blue sky day, that I can stare up at the sun and barely feel the heat of it on my face?
Because the rays aren't as direct.
Okay, so that's 50 degrees off the horizon. The rays are coming through the atmosphere, hitting my face. But on June 21st, when the sun is rising and it's literally 1, 2, 3, 5 degrees off the horizon, the most severe angle possible, how come I can feel the sun blazing on my face?
I don't know if you're feeling it blazing.
Blazing. Anybody can try this, and it's not because of the angle.
You're saying at 4 p.m. during the winter. No, wait. During the summer, you can't feel the sun's rays. Is that what you said?
No. At 12 noon on December 21st, yeah, you can feel it. Very weak. I could stare at the sun for an hour and barely feel the warmth on my face. Although on June 21st at sunrise and sunset, if I look at the sun, it's blasting my face.
I guess that's your opinion.
All right. Well, everyone, you'll disagree with that. Everyone, try it yourself.
You're getting blasted.
So just my point is that we go through every angle of the sun's rays every day. So it should be, according to your theory, that the rays, it should be freezing cold at sunset. And now if you say, well, we had a long day, the heat's remaining there. Okay, sunrise.
No, it shouldn't be freezing cold at sunset. You've got the oceans around you. You've got the atmosphere around you. That stuff warms and cools during the night and day. The more light you get during a period of day, the warmer it all gets. And since it's such a large system, I know it's hard to understand. It's a large area. Mm-hmm. If it heats up, if you've got the oceans heating up, that heat is stored in the earth and in the oceans. Okay, it doesn't just dissipate immediately. Like, what are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about, you believe that it's the angle of the rays that deliver the heat, and I'm saying that it's the proximity of the sun. During our northern winter, the sun is closer to the Tropic of Cancer, and during the summer, our summer, I mean, our summer, it's closer to the Tropic of Cancer, and during our winter, it's farther away. Heat and distance are what determine our seasons.
But by your own model, the sun is at the same distance all the time away. So shouldn't it be just as warm? I mean, if with your theory of winter and summer, if it's still at the same angle, same distance?
No, it's not. It's not. If you look at the flat Earth map, the sun is circling over the Earth around the Tropic of Cancer, which is the inner circle. So it's closer to the normal. To the northern hemisphere, and then as it makes bigger, wider circles, faster circles, higher circles, and the sun actually expands, it is moving at different. It is farther from us, so it's actually a beautifully balanced dance of size, distance, height, and speed.
Okay. Can I bring up a point? That's
please.
And it's directly related to your sun moving closer and further away from the North Pole. That's a capacitor. What we're actually, of course, dealing with is that azimuthal equidistant projection that's centered around the North Pole. You can do an azimuthal equidistant projection from any point on Earth.
Sure.
Whenever you take a globe, whenever you take a sphere, you can create projections off of a sphere, and that's what your whole thing is built around here.
No.
Now, No,
that is not. I don't believe that the AE map is correct at all. I believe that the model is correct, that it's flat, but the position, size, and distances of all of the continents, that is yet to be determined.
That's a huge cop-out. How many people are on Earth? You don't know this.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many people are on Earth. Do you? Did you count them? Are you believing the same people that brought us 9/11 and Sandy Hook could tell you?
I have been a lot of places, and I know that all the continents appear to be habited, and most of the cities they tell us about are real. Do you not believe that?
No, I've been all over the place. Have you seen how fast at equal latitudes in the southern hemisphere twilight is so different than twilight in the northern hemisphere? 6 months apart.
There's webcams showing the amount of daylight. You can watch a webcam in Australia right now, and you can tell exactly how much time of sunlight they get during their winter or their summer. And
I will link videos to that because the webcams are edited. They're not consistent. They're all edited, and it's been shown. Jaron from Jaronism has shown many of them. You can keep laughing.
All the webcams in Australia and the southern and south of the equator are all edited.
No, well, the video that you used when you did your series on me was you showed the Antarctic sun. I mean, you actually believe that is a real sun with those big spindles on it perfectly going around? I mean, you believe that's a real video?
Well, I know that they used After Effects to overlay and put some stuff behind it. But yeah, I believe the video is authentic, yes.
Well, okay, I will link that. Everybody can make up their own mind. I'm sure we're not going to agree on that one for sure. I've shown there's another video that's actually a lot more believable, except that snow comes and disappears on a mountaintop during the video. So that kind of proves that it's fake, but it looks a lot better than one that you have. I'll send you a link.
Was there a snowstorm? Was there wind blowing? I mean,
it happened within minutes, and then the snow disappeared. But go ahead.
Well, that's cool. Okay, so anyway, people live in a place called South America. You may have heard of it. There's a place called Patagonia. Have you ever heard of you know where that is?
Yeah.
Okay. There's hundreds of thousands of people that live down there. Punta Arenas is a city in southern Chile. Anyway, They have extremely long summers that are exactly the same if you go that far south of the equator as they are if you go that far north of the equator, the summer in the northern hemisphere. And with your model, you've got a spinning you've got the sun that's a capacitor, and it's spinning and it's going around in a circle. So if I have the sun that's closer to the southern hemisphere, say over Brazil, that makes it way darker in Australia during the exact same period of the year, their summer. But that's exactly the opposite, the thing that should happen. Their summer days should be longer too. But instead, it's even shorter because the sun's further away from Australia on the other side of the alleged flat Earth. How do you explain that?
Are you talking about equal southern latitudes, that they have different lengths of summer?
I'm talking about how the southern hemisphere has a longer summer, and that's impossible under the flat Earth model.
No, it's not impossible at all if you understand the model.
I guess
see
I
it
don't
differently.
understand it because I have the sun that's a capacitor going around in a circle, and I don't see how it's projecting light all the way to Australia, which which would be all the way over Asia. Say the sun's over Brazil, and you have your flat Earth map out, and so that means somehow the northern hemisphere is not getting sunlight, but Australia and places around the southern hemisphere are. So is the sun?
No, I disagree with that at all. I will. I'm trying to work with Rory Cooper from My Perspective channel to do a model showing this. But the sun, as it is going over the southern hemisphere, in my belief, and I don't have 100% proof, but it fits the model. It works better than the ball model. Is that the sun is higher, moving faster, and gets larger. The sun doesn't appear to be physical. Have you seen any of the recent hot air balloon launches where the sun is literally right there? Have you seen any of them?
The sun is right there in these hot air balloons.
Right there. I mean, the balloon, the angle from the sun to the camera on the balloon changes dramatically as it goes up, and it's right there. A guy did one recently where he wanted to actually get it closer. So he launched the balloon 4 hours later so the sun would be closer, and the balloon popped. I mean, that could just be a coincidence. But, I maintain that the sun popped the balloon because it was too close.
Okay. Well, that's completely, you can debunk that just by saying, if you're in Denver, say the sun's over Denver, right? How high is the sun again? What do you say? How high do you say it is?
I'm not sure. It's somewhere between I would say less than 3,000 miles. I think way less than 3,000.
If it's way less than 3,000, then the people on the West Coast looking at the sun should see it low in the sky over to the east. And the people on the East Coast should be seeing it lower in the sky towards the west. But that's not what they experience. It's almost in the same spot in the sky if the sun's directly over Denver. So
no, that's not true at all.
It can't be that low.
We're actually doing an experiment where we're going to be measuring the sun's angle on June 21st from 3 spots on around the 30th parallel, East Coast, West Coast, and in the middle. And we're going to be measuring them at the exact same time and measuring shadow lengths. And you might answer the question.
You guys haven't done this yet? I mean,
have you?
How many of you flat Earth people are there on YouTube and you haven't done this experiment yet? Give me a break. You haven't done this yet?
Some of us have jobs. Some of us, do what we can do. I actually don't have the skill to do that properly, but I have a friend who has the mental capacity and the resources to get it done, and he's doing it.
Well, good. You should, you guys are selling clocks all day long, apparently.
I'm not selling clocks. I'm giving them away. All right. And I've given them away. You don't listen. You said, at least someone's making money. And I told you it cost me $1,000. The only person making money is a guy in China that's selling me the blanks.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right. Want to talk about the gravity and how the Earth is orbiting the sun? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah. Well, allegedly, there's this thing where when objects get larger, they create this mysterious pull. And so the sun's a large object, the Earth is smaller, and there's allegedly this thing called the solar system where there's these 8 planets that are rotating around it. And the closer they get to this huge orb in the sky that weighs a lot, the faster they go. And the further out they are, the longer it takes them to go around. And there's this alleged thing called gravity that supposedly is holding us to the surface of the Earth. But apparently,
without the sarcasm, just tell me what you believe, please.
No, I'm telling you what I believe.
I mean, I'm not sure. You're saying allegedly. You're making a joke. I'm not sure if you actually believe what you're saying.
Because you don't think this is
Are you? Just tell me what you believe. That's all I'm asking.
I'm telling you. I believe in the heliocentric model of the universe, and I believe that gravity is a thing, and I believe the moon is rotating around the Earth, and it has to do with gravity.
Okay.
And you think there's a force that's
no,
like
don't
gravity.
Tell me what I think. Let me ask you some questions about gravity. I'm not even telling you what I think. I have questions about gravity. So you believe that the Earth is going at a certain speed. The sun's gravity has it locked into this orbit where essentially the Earth is falling around the sun and the gravity is just bringing it around and around. Is that correct?
You ever been to like a museum where they try to get your quarters and you dump it into that little thing that goes around and around. It's kind of like that, only there's no friction.
So am I correct in saying that you believe that the sun has locked the Earth in its gravity, and the Earth is moving at just the right speed where it's going around the sun, and it's no friction, so it goes forever? Is that correct?
Well, yeah, that's correct. Essentially, it takes maybe over a course of billions and billions of years, things will shift a little bit. But yeah, that's essentially correct.
Okay, so this great gravity of the sun has the Earth locked, but somehow a satellite, what we'll call the moon, it got locked into the Earth's gravity, and so it's doing the same thing around the Earth, but the gravity from the sun doesn't affect the moon. Is that correct?
Well, the gravity of the sun indirectly affects the moon. So,
okay,
every object, yes.
All right, so you believe that it does affect it. So you have the sun's over here. This microphone is the sun. The Earth is going around the microphone, and we have the moon going around the Earth. Okay,
creating the tides. Yes, mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about we'll get to the tides next, if you like. So as the moon comes around towards the sun, why doesn't it speed up and get ripped away? And as it goes, so the sun's not strong enough to pull the moon away, but it's strong enough to hold the Earth. And as it comes around away from the sun, how come the sun doesn't slow the moon down?
Well, the Earth and the moon are pulling on each other. There's the moon has a pull on the Earth, and vice versa.
But the sun doesn't have a pull on the moon.
Yeah, no, it does too.
How come it doesn't speed up? How come it doesn't speed up and slow down as it moves to and away from the sun?
Because the system is centered around the center of gravity of the Earth and the moon combined as they are rotating around each other. Okay, so next question is, the sun is traveling at 660,000 miles per hour. So the Earth is chasing the sun in its orbit, right? And so now you have the moon is going around the Earth. How is it that the moon, it speeds up, comes around, slows down, and comes around? How is that even fathomable? The Earth, it has to be speeding up and slowing down as it goes around the sun. The moon has to be speeding up and slowing down as it goes around the Earth. It's a fantasy. I mean, it doesn't even make sense if you think about it. Well, how is a capacitor sun that's floating above the Earth, how is that fathomable? That's not. That's fathomable. So hang on. Have you looked up quantum locking? There's evidence that can be shown that you can levitate conductors above a magnetic field, and they will orbit that magnetic field without, and locked into position. That has been shown in repeated experiments. But it's not locked into position. It keeps moving around, according to you, changing height and distance. So whatever that magnetic field is, the force that's pushing that around, that's controlling the movement of the sun, I don't know what that is. You can call it whatever you want, but there is proof that you can defy electromagnetism with electromagnetism. There's no proof that gravity exists. Gravity is only a theory. They've never, ever found a gravitron. Hold on, let me finish. They haven't been able to prove gravity, but they have been able to defy what's ever holding us down with electromagnetism. Doesn't it make more sense that if you're defying something, that you're using its same force against it? I say that what's holding us down is a combination of electromagnetism, electromagnetic forces, and density. Okay, that's your opinion. Okay, so I will add some stuff there. Go ahead, your turn. Okay, well, are you willing to admit that most of Eric Dubé's little 200 proofs the Earth is flat is fraudulent? You know what? I have a problem with a lot of the proofs that he has in there. He has a lot of repeated stuff. He has a lot of stuff that's old stories and we can't verify. But there's a lot of. Why is the flat Earth people are using stories from 200 years ago as their proofs all the time? And it's just these constant. A little early for vodka, don't you think? You asked me earlier why us flat earthers haven't done this stick experiment, and my question is, well, how come NASA? How come the science, the real science community hasn't done this experiment? Maybe nobody's thought of it until now. Because everybody believed. This was thought about thousands of years ago when they proved that. Are you kidding? Well, how did they prove it thousands of years ago? Are you talking about Aristophanes? Yeah, I don't want to waste time with that. Everybody knows the story. You guys love to go on and on about it. You're going to just burn probably 20 minutes talking about the well.
Well, no, I won't even. I won't burn. I'll burn 10 seconds. Eratosthenes, even if he was a real person, couldn't have done the experiment, and the experiment was even laid out wrong. It was at different latitudes or longitudes. It wouldn't have worked. There's no way they could have done it. 500 miles apart, unless they had.
No, the experiment. Here's the thing: the experiment takes place every day. You got cities like New York and San Francisco, and you can measure shadows from buildings. You know exactly where the sun is, and if something was hugely off, people would have pointed it out by now very clearly. You guys would have been all over it.
You can reverse engineer a lesser, a story that makes less sense than the actual the way it's done. The whole Aristophanes thing, even if it was true, works with a close local small sun.
I don't think it does. So anyway,
okay, well, do the math. I'll post a link that shows that it can be done.
Okay, so before we move on from the longer summers in the southern hemisphere thing that apparently you can't explain.
Apparently you don't agree with my explanation.
You're saying everybody in Argentina is lying about how long their days are?
No, they have very long days. And you know what? I can't explain it fully, but I believe it has something to do with the dome. I don't believe that they see the sun. For as long as people claim.
And you said all the webcams are fake.
I say everyone that I've seen is edited.
And you've never been below the equator and experienced it for yourself? South Africa.
I have not. But I plan on going to Johannesburg sometime in the near future, hopefully.
When you experience a longer summer day there, are you going to admit you were wrong or
no?
What?
I mean, you don't even know where the sun is. Is it being projected from another dimension? Is it similar to sololuminescence?
The reptilian
star in a jar.
Yeah, they're projecting the sun.
Well, it's glowing. You don't know. Have you looked at the high altitude videos of the balloons? Hey, you know what? Let's move on from here. I said dome. You laughed. Well, you're laughing at everything. You don't believe there's a dome, of course, because we live on a spinning ball.
I'm not.
Well, you're allowed to laugh. I just want to know what. So let me ask you a question. How is it that our atmosphere gets thinner and thinner and thinner as you go up, thinner and thinner and thinner, and then there's a vacuum?
Well. It's called gravity. Everything's sucked onto the earth. Okay. And the further you go away, the less gravity there is. And basically the atmosphere is not sucked in towards this sphere.
All right. So great. So great. So that leads me to my question. A little experiment that you can do that should, if with critical thinking, dismay that belief is get a bottle, like a 64-ounce bottle. Hopefully it wasn't from soda that you drank. Suck the air out of it, just like half of the air out of it, so it doesn't crush. And put the top on, and we'll call that a vacuum. But because there's some air in there, we'll call it a lesser vacuum, lesser than the gravity, than the total vacuum of space. Now, if I poked a hole in the bottom of that bottle, air would get sucked up into it, up away from gravity. Better yet, if I stuck the bottom of that bottle inside of water and I poked a hole in it, it would actually lift the water up into it, which is, I think we could agree, heavier than air. How come gravity, which is stronger, closer to the earth, doesn't hold that air and water down?
It's called pressure, something called air pressure.
Air pressure. There's no air pressure in the bottle. We have a vacuum, and that vacuum is able to lift up water away from gravity. And you're telling me that the greater vacuum of space can't pull the weaker gravitationally held air that's velcroed to the earth through gravitrons that's spinning with the earth at incredible speeds. How is that even possible, Paul?
Well, if you have a soda bottle, like you've driven in your car where you're at a low altitude and you got a soda bottle that's kind of compacted and you go to a higher altitude, the bottle expands and you hear a soda bottle popping. It's because of air pressure change. You got lower air pressure versus higher air pressure.
That has nothing to do with the question that I'm asking you. If you're saying that gravity holds the atmosphere to the earth and the vacuum of space can't pull it away, you even said that the gravity is higher. I'll even say that it's equal all the way up, just to make it that much harder for the vacuum to rip the atmosphere off the Earth. How come I can suck water up with just a little bit of a vacuum, a way lesser vacuum? Probably
because you created a low pressure system in a straw.
Okay, so there's a low pressure system in space. Space is the ultimate low pressure system. How come it doesn't suck the higher pressure of the atmosphere of Earth off the surface?
It's gas, like anything, has a density and it has a weight. So it's being pulled down to the surface, and then you got a certain air pressure. I mean,
your explanation, you said that gravity held the air to the Earth. Why
isn't the atmosphere being sucked out into space? I think it's just being held in by gravity.
All right, but how come a lesser vacuum, a less powerful force than the vacuum of space, can lift water and air away from the most powerful gravity? You know what? Everybody think for yourselves. Move on. Next.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not going to listen, Paul. You're digging a hole for yourself because you're not thinking about it. So think about it, and then you can respond. All right.
Well, I'm thinking if you climb a mountain, the atmosphere gets thinner and thinner until there basically isn't any, and that creates a frictionless environment, perfect for a solar system or some sort of exactly what you would expect. But you're saying the atmosphere doesn't get thinner as you go up?
No, I'm saying it does get thinner, but what's stopping it from getting ripped off into the vacuum of space? You have to have a border. Never can you ever have a high pressure and low pressure system that the high pressure won't go to the low pressure unless there's a barrier.
Okay. So the Bedford level experiment, I guess they can't repeat that, huh?
Why? They're being repeated all the time. Somebody's actually doing one that's 14 miles long. They're working on it right now with a laser.
Working on it.
They're actually, people have to go out and do this stuff because people until 18 months ago didn't even know to ask these questions because we've been so thoroughly indoctrinated since we've been infants people didn't even know to ask the question.
No, so they can't repeat the Bedford level experiment. Apparently.
Why can't they?
How long does it take to do these experiments, by the way? All you have to do is go a certain distance and take a picture.
All you have to do is find the right location with the right weather conditions, with calm waters, with the right equipment at the right time to do it. And you know what? People are doing the best they can. More and more experiments are being done. I'm sure that the Bedford level. That's untrue. There's been plenty done. I mean, people have taken pictures from Hawaii of islands, 100 miles away or whatever distances are.
Can you link to that, please?
I will link to that. There's all sorts of pictures.
Hundreds of miles.
100. No, 100. 100.
100. Okay. Well, you know how tall Hawaii and these islands are?
I'm talking about from sea level or close to sea level. And
okay.
If you use the calculator, by the way, the whole curvature calculator, I don't believe that's real either. I'll link Jaren's latest video. If everyone hasn't seen it, check it out.
Jaren.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Next.
Okay, well, so they can't.
I got one
repeat
for you.
The Bedford level experiment.
Well, you say that they can't. Who couldn't do it?
Well, I looked all over the internet for it being repeated.
How come you haven't done it? Why don't you do it and prove us wrong?
Here's the thing. I can't prove you wrong. There's tons of videos of boats sailing over the freaking horizon.
Again, you're right. There are videos of that, and there's also videos of boats going over the horizon, and then you get out a super zoom camera, and boom, there's the entire boat again. But you have to remember,
no, that's not true. Okay,
it is true. No. It is true. It is true to a point. To a point where you can't see the boat anymore,
and then the atmosphere. Then you get light reflection. You get actual bending of the atmosphere. And you get the thicker atmosphere, and that's exactly what you should expect to see. But if you look for sailboat going over the horizon, people, do a search. You clearly see the bottom disappear first, and then slowly the sail goes behind. And just do a search.
So as you look farther, you're looking your angle to the water is getting closer and closer to zero. We've all seen, or most of us have, that a boat on a very calm day, as it's going farther and farther out, it kind of looks like it's floating into the air, but we know that's just a mirage where we're seeing the sky and the water. It's not floating in the air. It's going across a flat plane, but due to the way our eyes work, perspective, refraction, all of those things combined make things disappear. I have lots of videos, which I will be linking on here. This is the one thing that takes the most amount of time and intense thought to understand. And truly, there's probably a few parts of it that I don't even get yet, but there's plenty to show how things disappear over or past the vanishing point. Over horizon, I say past the vanishing point.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay, so that's why they build lighthouses taller and taller and taller, and they can be seen further the taller they are, is because the Earth is flat.
So on a curved Earth, the reason they would build a lighthouse higher is because on a ball Earth, it would be tilting away until you couldn't see it anymore. But hang on, I'm going to answer your question about lighthouses. On a flat Earth, it's the same damn thing. The higher something is, the better you can see it. And here's why. Lighthouses are for navigation, but they're most important when you have rough conditions. You're lost, there's a storm going on and there's waves. If there's a wave that's 1 inch higher than your eye level, it will block out the tallest lighthouse in the distance. And if you think about it, you take a line from your eyes, and let's say there's a wave that's a foot taller than my eyes. The waves are 6.5 feet, 7 feet. And in the distance, if you draw a line from my eyes, that line will hit the top of that wave on an upward angle, and over distance, it not only won't see the lighthouse, it won't see the sun at a certain point. Okay, so that is it's an upward slope. So anything that's an inch over your eye level will eclipse anything in the air. The farther away it is, the higher it is. And just how clouds 30 miles away look like they're on the horizon, but they're really 30,000 feet in the air. And if you drew a line from my eyes to that cloud, from my point of view, it looks like a parallel line to the Earth. But if you were standing under that cloud and could see the line from that cloud, you would see a line sloping out of the sky at about a 45-degree angle to my eyes. Which one is reality?
Okay, well, first of all, the lighthouse thing, on calm days, you can only see the lighthouse the same distance. I mean, it can be replicated. The taller the lighthouse is on a calm day, the further away you can see it. And that has nothing to do with, so that alone is proof there's a curvature.
No, that has nothing to do with it. That's why in Dubai, like, you could watch the sunset and go to the top of the building and see the sunset again. The higher you are on a flat Earth, the farther away the point of convergence is. There's a YouTuber named P-Brain, P-R-A-N-E.
Okay, let's plug everybody.
No, I'm telling people where they can go to see the examples of what I'm talking about, because you don't like to look at evidence. But go ahead. Next.
No, I do like to look at evidence. That's what we're talking about. You've got all these things you're talking about, like the Bedford level. It can't be repeated.
Well, you say it can't be repeated, but I've never heard that until you said it today. Maybe nobody's repeated it. I don't know. But there's better places than the Bedford level, and people are doing these things. A lot of people have done them. They've done 4 miles. They've done there's a whole bunch of videos out there, and you could look at them, and there's people that are doing it better and better, learning from others people's errors, on what time of day to do it, what weather conditions, temperature, wind conditions, all of that stuff matters in the way we perceive our reality.
Okay. So here's another proof that the Earth is obviously a sphere. And what do you keep calling it, a globe, or what is it, ball?
A globe or a ball? What would you like to call it?
Because that makes it sound like a little
What would you like to call it? I'll use whatever term you like.
A sphere. We'll call it a sphere, just for simplicity.
Can I call it a spinning sphere?
Well, it spins one rotation every 24 hours. It's not like it's spinning like a top.
A 24-hour per rotation.
Okay, I'm getting to a point. Sphere. Let me just finish. You can call it whatever you want, okay? And basically, here's the biggest proof. You look at any really tall skyline across a lake, and you see the buildings disappear from bottom to top the further away you go. The Chicago thing, you guys love to talk about. Oh, you could see Chicago from across Lake Michigan. That's like your favorite thing, you guys. You love that so much. That was taken from on top of a sand dune. They overestimated the distance, and it's only visible during spring when you have cold water contained in a lake and warm air above that bends light. Do you admit that mirages exist? Do you admit
I do, but they're usually upside down. And there's a video.
But they're not always upside down, though.
There's a
particular type of mirage is only visible in spring across lakes, usually cold lakes with warm air masses above them, and it's repeated all over the world. And it's not that the Earth is changing shape. Okay, you will admit that this type of mirage exists, right? Or that if air is warm above a cold landmass or ocean mass,
there are all types of mirages. There are all types of deception or illusions in what we see. There's a video on my channel that shows a time lapse of about 12 or 14 hours of the Chicago skyline, different light conditions, temperature conditions, weather conditions, and you can see the majority. I will agree that you can't see the bottom quarter, let's say, of those buildings, but at that distance from that pier, which is about 6 feet above the water, you shouldn't be able to see but the very tops of the tallest buildings, but you can see them all.
So why is it only the bottoms? Why is it only the bottoms are disappearing on a flat Earth?
Because how come the tops aren't disappearing on a ball Earth?
Because
the light's bending around the Earth. All right.
No, because we're living on a sphere. You need, please,
So if you do the curvature calculation, you shouldn't be able to see what we're seeing. That proves that we're not on a ball, and it proves that on a flat Earth there is there's a point of convergence. There's something that's blocking our view of the lower portion. Again, I will we can move on from here. I will add some good research and let people make up their own minds. I'd like to have a shot now. You believe?
I'm not done with this.
All right, go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were done.
No, okay. So the fact you should be able to see Chicago, the top of the tallest buildings of Chicago, from Grand Mare State Park at the altitude that the pictures were taken of Chicago. You should always be able to see the tops of buildings if it's clear enough.
At what altitude is that?
Well, you'd have to guess how tall these sand dunes are. I could look it up for you again.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a video that was taken at 6 feet above the water on a pier.
Okay, well, I'm talking about the one that you guys are always talking about, Grand Mare State Park.
You guys, am I talking about it? Are you talking to me? Because guess what? There's Sandy Hook researchers out there that say ridiculous things. I don't line myself with all of them. There's a lot of flat earthers out there that have no idea what they're talking about, but they're doing the best that they can, and they understand that we live on a lot.
You're right about that. There are a lot of flat earthers that have no idea what they're talking about out there. You're right about that. You said
more of an idea than you do.
You said on this pier, only the bottoms of the buildings aren't visible, but that doesn't make sense on a flat plane. It should be the building gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until it's not visible, not disappearing from bottom to top. Okay.
That's where you don't understand how our eyes work with our curved eye lenses Well, again, we're repeating the same thing. I will post the videos that explain this, and then people can listen. You and I are not going to agree. We're not going to agree on this. This is due to the perspective and the vanishing point. And there's some excellent videos that people can watch and then make up their own mind. You and I are not going to agree on this, so that's fine.
Let me guess. These videos have the highest production value introductions you've ever seen.
They do work with me, and they are paid by the same people that pay me to do this disinfo information. Okay, I'm sure they're getting the same amount of money that I'm getting.
No, you probably get a bigger chunk.
All right. So let me ask you a question. The Earth is we're in a galaxy that's traveling at whatever crazy speed. The sun is flying at 660,000 miles per hour. Do you agree with that? Give or take a couple 100,000. Do you agree with the model of our solar system that it is flying through infinite space?
I'd say I lean more towards that than I do.
Okay, so let me get my point out. Listen, we're just addressing one thing at a time and stop, diverting. Okay, and so how is it that the North Star is exactly where it is every year, millennium after millennium, and it resets a year later? That all of the stars in the sky show no parallax, and they're always where they are. A simple experiment that you can do, and anybody can do this, is get a 2, 3, 4 foot pipe, a thin pipe, line it up with the North Star and nail it into place. Jury rig it with some wood and whatever so it cannot move, and look through it and see the North Star. And then look through it the next night and the next night and the next night and 6 months later and 2 years later and 5 years later. How is that North Star always through that line of sight in the exact same place?
Well, I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but
I'm talking about. So let me explain. No, you don't know what I'm talking about. Let me explain.
No, I understand what you're saying. The North Star. If you took a time lapse,
I'm talking about all of the stars, but that they all go around the North Star, so they're harder to track. But you can see they're in the same place every year. Also, they reset. But the North Star never moves one bit, and we're traveling at 600,000 miles an hour or a second or whatever. It's a ridiculous speed that's incalculable, but nothing moves.
Okay, is the North Star visible from the southern hemisphere?
No, it's not, due to perspective.
Oh.
It's local and close, and and therefore, It's the same on a small scale, on a big scale. The reason New York City, to me, looks at eye level, the top of the World Trade Tower looks at eye level to me, is because I'm not standing underneath it. And you know what? If I was a little farther away, I wouldn't be able to see it. And the stars are local and close, fixed in a position, rotating around us above. I'm not sure what they are, but as you go into the distance, they get closer and closer to the horizon. And again, back to the original topic, it's the point of convergence that is the reason that we can't see them when you're too far away.
Mm-hmm. You can't see the Southern Cross because of convergence, and you can't see the bottom of buildings because your lenses are bent in your eyes.
Wow, you're getting it.
No, I'm understanding what your whole theory is. And it's making less and less sense. If you look at a time lapse of the stars, you can clearly see, the rotation of the Earth. It's not this flat, stationary plane where there's nothing actually rotating around. There's clearly motion everywhere. Look at a star time lapse of the sky, and you'll see.
All right, so you're talking about a northern star time lapse where it shows circles around the North Star, correct?
Better, yeah. Look from the equator, and you can see everything spinning around, and you can even see the north and south, kind of like the actual poles where the time lapse aren't as spread around, because you can see.
So this is another thing that it's very difficult to explain here, but I'll try to explain part of it. So behind me is the North Star. All the stars are making bigger and bigger circles around it across the flat Earth. So way in front of me in the southern hemisphere, I have stars coming across from horizon to horizon, making, from my point of view, a smiley face from left to right. Okay, but it comes into my view at the top of that smile. You can make fun of my terms, I don't care. At the top of that curve, that's the part I see at the horizon. It's literally coming from the vanishing point. As it comes across closer to me, the very bottom is the part when the star is highest above me, and then when it goes to the other horizon, the top of that smiley face, it is literally at the lowest point I can see. So instead of actually seeing the true smiley face, I'm seeing a sad face. And ball earthers go, I'm just using terms so people can visualize. Ball earthers say, well, if you look at it, that's clockwise, versus a happy face is counterclockwise. Even though they're both coming from left to right, if it's curved this way, it's clockwise or counterclockwise, whatever. And if it's curved this way, and what we're seeing isn't reality. It's the way our eyes work. It's the way convergence works and perspective. And again, I'm trying to get a video made showing that from different points of perspective in AutoCAD. I don't have the skills to do that.
And I think it would be impossible to do because it's incorrect. But so wait. So if you watch an airplane come from literally, where it looks like it's on the horizon, fly over your head, and then go to the other horizon, you're saying that curve is the curve of the Earth, or is it a friggin' straight line and your eyes are seeing perspective? It's the same thing. Okay, I don't know.
You don't understand that. I understand. So I will try to find a video so you can understand.
Okay, sounds good.
Next.
So anyway, back to Eric Dubé's cultish documentary, where he constantly exaggerates distances and never mentions there's actual towers that things are being photographed from. And basically, there's one great example where he says the Queen, of course, it's a story from hundreds of years ago, right? The Queen could see the Grimsby Dock Tower from 50 miles away in Hull.
I have no proof of that.
It's actually only 15 miles away. And this guy will not make a retraction.
So, you know what? I'm not Eric DeBay. I'm not a big fan of him, even though he's one of the guys that got me looking into the flat Earth. So I thank him.
Who's the best authority on this? Is it you, or who should I talk to about this stuff?
It's definitely me, for sure.
It's you.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. If in your Sandy Hook research, if you made one mistake, you're labeled an idiot, conspiracy theorist, and that's it. In flat Earth, in conspiracy research,
it's not good to make mistakes. That's for sure.
Correct. But in our education system,
just for the record, Annie Haddad is Nancy Lanza. Look that up, people.
I agree with you on that. Okay, and a lot of people will fight you tooth and nail on that, but that doesn't matter.
It does matter.
No. What I'm saying is, here's my point. When people say, "Well, where's the peer-reviewed paper? Where's the scientists, the professionals that are doing this?" Those people go through the indoctrination system, and if they get 20 things wrong, they get a B. Okay, if they get 20% of their shit wrong, they pass with a B, and they're our experts. So guess what? There are people in the flat Earth community, in the independent research community, that do make mistakes. I make mistakes, and I correct those mistakes, and I stick by the ones, even though unpopular. Just like you are sticking by Andy Haddad. Where how was your reception on that? It didn't go very well, right?
Actually, you stuck to it. No, it did. People
not at first, but because you stuck to your guns and put out more and more info on it, people saw the light. You're the reason that I am banned from Sam's Bar and Grill, because I went down there investigating Annie Haddad and I live very close to Sam's Bar and Grill.
Did you hang out with Caitlin Roig? And
I went down there looking for her, and she is no longer hanging out there. Absolutely.
Did you make a video on this or any proof of this?
I believe I did. I'll send you the pictures I took while I was.
All
right. Hey, by the way,
you're hanging out at Sam's Bar and Grill too.
I went down there because of your research. Okay. Because of what you came on, but you think I'm a paid shill. You know what? You think before we went on air. Hey, don't interrupt. Before we went on air, I said, "What would you like to be called? Should I call you Paul?" And you're like, "Yeah." And you're like, "Can I call you David? If that's your real name." I doubt it. You know what? How about ask me? You know what? You could always reach out to me and ask me who I am. You could always go look me up on the internet. There's a lot of David Weisses out there, but my picture's out there. My company's out there. My picture, there's no doubt who I am. Nobody knows who you are. And guess what? You say I'm not.
David, I'm almost done. You're a fan of mine, and I think
no. I'm no longer a fan of what you're doing right now. But I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Your other work is fantastic. Your NASA work is really good. Right? I'm going to just treat you like I treat a regular, educated professional, where I'll take the good and I'll throw out the bad. Okay. Right. But if you want to know who I am, you can find out who I am. I've actually talked about it on many shows. I don't actually, expect that you watch it, but you don't want your name out there because you are afraid that the people that you work with will cause a problem. Unfortunately for you, you're in a situation where you can't speak freely, and I feel bad for you. But I completely understand it.
I speak freely all the time.
But you speak freely. So what's your name? Where do you work? You're not going to
matter.
It doesn't matter. My point is, you're in a situation where you need to protect your identity, and that's okay.
Yeah, I'm fucking blowing shit wide open. I blew Annie Haddad as Nancy Lanza. I wouldn't be surprised if people wanted me dead out there. And whatever. I'm
absolutely. But by the way, this is just my opinion. You're a lot safer if you're out there publicly, because they could just disappear you and no one will know who the hell you were.
Yeah, tell that to the guy who wrote that 9/11 book where they killed his whole family or whatever.
Yeah, well, he was going big. That was I forget his name.
Okay.
Yeah, they killed him, and he killed it. He killed his kid and shot his dog, and then he shot himself in the head twice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
I know. Hey, listen, it's up to you. You know what? I'm out. I don't care. Fuck it. Fear. The only thing to fear is fear. I'm not afraid of
anything. I'm just worried that I won't be able to find gainful employment. And believe it or not, I'm not an IMD listed actor. Like practically every single person in the alleged truth movement and flat Earth people are all related to NASA people too. You guys, it's such a cover for NASA.
So how am I related to NASA? Please tell me.
I don't know. No, not everybody is. There's some like
you just said everybody is.
There's some 7-Up actors and some other actors and stuff too.
Yeah.
They recruit from all over the place. So you were with Larry Bird holding the globe Earth, right? In that 7-Up commercial.
That's funny.
Well, you said you put your shoulder on Larry Bird. Was he holding a basketball?
Is a basketball a globe Earth? Is that what you're saying? So basketball is to indoctrinate us into the ball Earth? Come on, Paul. Get real. You want to get on to your next point?
It's just
get on to tell me why you believe we live on a spinning ball when all of our senses show us, and you can tell that we're on a flat, stationary plane. There's no way that gravity can.
You're redirecting.
All right, wait. Where do you want to go? You lead.
I want to go to everybody is a fucking actor on IMDb. That's where I want to
go. So Patricia Steer, actor on IMDb.
Man, Patricia Steer. Whoa. You think this woman is just like, well, what did she do before this? She's obviously got this media voice, and she's this.
She was in a radio business.
Steer lady is the sketchiest character I've ever seen.
Well, you know, you think that I'm sketchy. You think that PK.
No, I think you're the least sketchy. Even though I think you're a smart dude. I don't know if you believe the flat Earth stuff, but you're definitely well researched, and it's like you guys are reading the no plane stuff. You know where the movement is. You definitely know where all the research is.
All right,
and you're taking it right to the front line regarding no planes and all this other stuff, and then you sneak in the little flat Earth right in the back door.
Here's the thing. You know what? For 6 months, I didn't bring up the flat Earth because I was afraid of exactly what you're saying, that it would discredit all of the other good research I've done. And hang on. Let me finish my point. That's your opinion, but the truth is that's not the case. And by the way, it does do that to close-minded people that might have been looking into something. Then they hear flat Earth, and you're absolutely right. They might go, "This is too much," and people short circuit. But
I am right. That's the whole point.
Well, no. Your point is there are people that will do that, but then they come around. They keep hearing it, and they look. And the flat Earth is. Hold on, I'm not interrupting you. You shouldn't interrupt me. You know what? I don't control YouTube, but I'm using YouTube to get information out there. And whatever they do with it, of course, they'll do whatever they can to psyop it or whatever. But all of these people that you're claiming are shills, it's ridiculous. None of them are shills. You don't even know who the shills are. All right, you don't even see them. They pump information out there. But this is
how do you know
whether I'm, because they pay me, of course. Whether I'm a shill or not, you should be able to. Just let me finish a sentence, okay? Whether I'm a shill or not, we're having a conversation. Show me that this is ridiculous, and so far you have not done that.
We're just having a discussion.
No, I do. I own a company, all right, and I create a lot of free time for myself where I have the ability to do this, and I make money, and I'm able to do this, and I don't work at nights.
What's your company? I'm sorry.
It's none of your business because it has nothing to do with this. And I don't want people like you poking around in my personal business.
I thought you said you were an open book, blah, blah, blah.
I am, but you know what? Who cares? I've actually mentioned my job on plenty of things. And anybody that wants to Google me, you can find me. I'm easy to find.
What's your job?
I'm in the solar power business.
You're in the solar power business.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah,
can you show me some solar panel stuff you got around your little studio?
I could.
Okay, where is it?
You want me to really go and get a solar panel and show you?
You're in the solar panel business, allegedly. You should have some fucking solar stuff.
Would you like me to get one right now?
No, I don't believe you or Patricia Steer or any of these people.
All right, so getting by all that,
you seem to have jobs that are real.
Getting through all of these, this is getting into a point where you're just making accusations. Let's get back to flat Earth or ball Earth proofs. Show me that we live on a spinning ball. What else do you have? Is that it? I mean, everything that you have goes to the same question.
And solar eclipses. Okay, you got the sun that's behind the Earth, and the moon passes. Between the Earth is between the sun and the moon, and then you get the shadow of the Earth on the moon. I believe Patricia Steere made up some weird, like, fake planet name that's an invisible planet that's in between that's causing the moon to have a.
I don't believe Patricia Steere made that. Eric Dubay talked about it, and many other people talked about it.
So it's an invisible planet.
No, it's not you know what? I don't even know what that is, but there's been many eclipses where the sun and the moon are above the horizon during the eclipse, and that's just impossible. That's impossible.
There hasn't been any eclipses where the sun and the moon are above the. No.
There's been over 50 documented ones. And here, I'm going to actually share an image. Continue.
No, this is groundbreaking. Please share.
Well, here's the question.
I've never seen an eclipse where both the sun and the moon were above the horizon. Please share.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen here and ask you a question.
Holy shit. This is big.
So here is can you see this? Here is a scale drawing of the Earth and moon. Can you see it? You see the moon over here, and this is the Earth. You're telling me that a sun 93 million miles away can cast a curved shadow on this tiny little dot over here, you know?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you believe that? Do you know that if you take a ball and get a square, a flat square, pad or whatever, a piece of wood, and cast a shadow on it, it's curved. Okay, so the apparent curved shadow on the moon means nothing, but you can't cast a shadow. I've actually tried to do it with a golf ball and a baseball, and I separated them by 40 widths of the softball, and I couldn't even get a line to appear on.
You would have to use a laser or some directed light source. You couldn't.
Yeah, so the sun is now a directed laser. Is that what you're telling me?
No, that's the best comparison you can make. Because do we have the distance the Earth is from the sun in this comparison with the moon? If you put that in there, you can't. I can't. How far away it actually is.
I can't put it because the moon and the Earth would be not visible.
Okay, and then also when there's a lunar eclipse, how do you explain that?
When there's a lunar eclipse,
when the sun is blocked by the moon, when everybody gets out there and we're all watching these eclipses.
When the sun is blocked by the moon. All right. So you're sitting in front of a table, I assume. Hold a model of the moon, a ball. Hold a baseball in one hand, hold a light in the other hand, and then put the baseball in between your vision of the light. And there's
the moon is below the sun.
No, I'm saying the moon. I think it's probably a little lower than the sun, but it's very close. And when it goes, so it's lower. Sure, it has to be lower to do that.
Okay. Well, anyway, this is only possible using and this is exactly explained where you can see these eclipses, when you can see them. It's exactly explained by a sphere, and the amount of daylight reaching the surface of the Earth is exactly explained by a sphere. Only a sphere can create the exact amount of daylight you would expect. If you look at a daylight map, you notice how. And it's a projection. It's like it's a big rectangle. If you look at a daylight map, you notice that big wave. That wave is because you're projecting a sphere. Half of a sphere has light, half has darkness, and that's exactly what we see. So I mean,
that's not exactly what we see. And the way the sun works, it's casting light down. It's creating a circle of light where there's an edge, and that edge goes, I don't know how far into Antarctica, different times a year, it goes different distances. There's also has to do with the reflection of the light. If you look at the work of, I think it was Rory Cooper again, my perspective, where he's showing that the sun is not what lights up the world. It's the sky. It's the secondary light. It's just like a photographer doesn't just have a flash. They have to have a backlight. Otherwise, everything would look like the Blair Witch Project. So, it's the second light in the sky that lights things. And one way to prove this is that when the sun rises in the morning and it's shadowing on your house, go to the backside of your house, and literally you can read fine print newspaper on the backside shadowed part of your house. But at night,
because light's bouncing off the atmosphere and stuff.
At nighttime, when the moon comes up, you can read by the moonlight, but on the other side of the house, it's pitch black.
Do you think the moon? Do you think the moon is a sphere?
I don't know what the moon is. It sure looks like a sphere.
Get a telescope. Yeah, get a telescope. It's.
It looks very spheres to me, but there's been times where you can see stars either through it or in front of it.
There isn't. There hasn't been times.
Oh, there hasn't. No, there hasn't, huh?
Can you link to a video where I can see stars through?
Yeah, I will. I will link that.
Okay. You really have one?
Right. Yeah. And then also, if you look at the moon at night, hold on. I'm going to respond. I'm not sure what it is. It could be a
sphere.
Well,
it's solid and it's up there.
Yeah, am I allowed to respond, or are you just going to make your jokes and not listen?
Go ahead.
At nighttime, when you look at the moon, the dark spots look black. Look like you're looking into the blackness of space. And during the daytime, they're blue, just like the sky is that's behind it. Okay. It appears that the sun and the moon are in what one might call the firmament, which is some form of liquid.
Biblical.
I'm not a biblical guy at all. I mean,
you guys are appealing to Christianity and the biblical stuff.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's actually lining up with Christianity stuff, but I've never ever been into. I'm talking. You should have the courtesy to let me respond without inserting your. You're
talking a lot more than I am. Just for the record, go.
Well, because I'm constantly trying to talk over you. All right, so. It is biblical, but guess what? I have nothing. It has nothing to do with me. And it's very, very interesting how it lines up with biblical text.
Yeah, convenient.
Convenient. Is that a psyop also?
No, it's just you guys are appealing to uneducated Christians. For this whole movement is based on the firmament, all these biblical terms, and people with no education and no critical thinking. And that's that's what flat Earth is. And you've taken a whole bunch of people who are traumatized from a whole bunch of events, 9/11, Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook was taken off, and then you bring in essentially the next Planet X Nibiru fear thing or disinfo psyop that people can just get sidetracked on.
Are you fearful of the flat Earth? Because I'm not. It's actually brought me. It's actually brought me to a place of really of hope and understanding and
light. And the glowing aura of flat Earth that's so fulfilling, right? That's what Patricia Steer's talking like. It's like this weird psychological, like, oh, finally we found this fulfilling thing. That,
not what I was looking for.
It's changed my life that the Earth is flat. Oh, let's have a mixer. Let's all get together and like jerk each other off about how great the aura is.
Do you have any friends?
Do I have any friends? No, I don't have any friends.
All right. Well, that's unfortunate. It's nice to get around with like-thinking people and collaborate on determining the reality that we live in.
Like I said, I do want to go to these flat Earth mixers because the girls there must be extremely easy and gullible. And you could just tell them you got a 14-inch dick, and they'd be like, "Okay."
Okay. So what else?
I mean, these girls are so gullible. These are the kind of people that go watch that Draco guy with the stairs.
You're just starting to embarrass yourself. Do you want to talk about the ball Earth?
I want to talk about the huge disinfo campaign that is flat Earth, how it's always recommended on YouTube. On the right, it's always recommended to everybody. It seems like this exponential explosion in YouTube just suddenly always recommending flat Earth. The next up video is always some sort of flat Earth video. The recommended
maybe it's actually not the case unless you're researching flat Earth.
I was never researching it, and it was always recommended. Well, I had nothing to do with it.
They're linking. They're using either an algorithm that no one's aware of that it's linking these together, which makes perfect sense, or they're doing it on purpose. There's either two.
It's both of those.
There's two possible reasons. One,
it's a psyop.
You want to hear or no?
Yeah, go ahead.
That it's just an algorithm that's doing it, or two, that perhaps they want the information to go out because they want people to rise up and they want the current system to crumble down.
Why? Okay, so both of those would indicate that it's a psyop. One, they're using an algorithm, and two, they want people. You're proving it's a psyop.
No, you could say Sandy Hook is a psyop too.
No, these are.
Yeah, you can. They're using Sandy Hook to do lots of stuff. 9/11, all of these things. They're trying to control the narrative. Maybe somehow they know that the flat Earth awareness, the flat Earth reality, is coming to a head, and they're trying to get ahead of it.
No, flat Earth's been around for thousands of years.
Well, it's because the Earth has been flat for thousands of years. You're correct. The ball Earth has only been around for like 500 years.
It's not a new idea. So why is it? It was a 2000.
No, it's a new idea. Is that ball Earth?
No, you're interrupting me.
Yeah.
Why was it in 2015? All of a sudden, boom, flat Earth up the asshole. Every single person is talking flat Earth. Suddenly, all these people are like, "Oh yeah, flat Earth." Always recommending flat Earth, flat Earth, flat Earth. The president mentions flat Earth. No president before had mentioned flat Earth. I guess they didn't know the Earth was flat, or is it potentially they're trying to get it out there? Look at Google Trends. Look at the explosion of flat Earth. That makes no sense for a topic that is literally thousands of years old.
I recommend flat Earth all the time. I put lots of keywords in my videos to get people that aren't thinking about flat Earth to get exposed to it. So yeah, it's going to be recommended all the time.
And you guys have gotten helped. It's unbelievable.
Who's helping us?
I have a feeling it's NASA. You know why they might want to do something like this? Do you have any idea why NASA might want to do this?
No.
Really?
I mean, why NASA might want us to believe in a false reality of a flat Earth?
Why NASA might want, whenever you type in NASA hoax, a whole bunch of flat Earth videos to come up. Right.
That's your thing, where you're saying that the NASA is trying to protect themselves by exposing this flat Earth. NASA was created, in my opinion, in 1959 to prove to us that the Earth was flat. And they showed us this ridiculous picture. And the Earth is flat, but everything they do is fraudulent. If the Earth wasn't flat, why don't they take a picture?
Because they can't go into deeper space.
Why is that?
Point. NASA. Why? Because the air is too thin, and if you have rockets shooting off a vacuum, you can't make an object move around that easily. That's why.
So how do you back to where we were? How do you get into a vacuum from a high pressure system without a barrier?
So you're bringing up a point that you already brought up. I'm just saying that NASA cannot go into deep space. They can go into very far orbit. They go very up, very high. But once you get into that total vacuum, there's some problems. And maybe it's the Van Allen, who knows? But I know that there's serious problems with navigation. NASA's covering up. They want billions of dollars a year. There's no more reason that it's like, oh, they're faking it because the Earth is flat. No, they're faking it because they can't actually get there. That's why all these images are fake. It's
Paul,
not
NASA doesn't need our billions of dollars. The reason that we fund them billions of dollars is just to take the money away from the people and keep us in servitude, struggling to make it day by day. They don't need the people that are doing this don't need money because they create money out of thin air. It's all about taking the money away from the people.
Yeah, and I bet a whole bunch of flat Earth people have like unlimited credit cards they're given.
Yeah, that's how we could pay us. They can't give us cash.
Well, you don't have jobs.
Yeah, none of us have jobs.
It doesn't seem like it. Patricia's going on a 19-day fucking vacation. She just.
You know what? Patricia was smart enough to have a business, sell it, and have enough money so she can.
And she got $100,000 from where? Because she said she was broke when she moved to New Orleans.
Where did I get my money?
Apparently, solar panels, right? How ironic.
No.
Where'd you get it from?
I earned it. In previous jobs. I was smart enough to have other businesses that paid me more than enough to survive, and I was able to bank money and have a pretty decent life.
It must be nice sitting around all day.
I don't sit around all day. I do lots of stuff. I was going to be out this weekend, but you could only do it today, so I canceled my plans.
No, I said I could do it all day today or all day tomorrow.
Yeah, well, guess what? I work during the week. I do a lot of this flat Earth research, and I like to enjoy my weekends. I go out. I have friends. I have a girlfriend. I do things. I enjoy my life.
Research. There's no research. You guys talk about these experiments you want to do. You're playing around in your kitchen.
I think we're coming close to an end, unless you have any more flat Earth proof or something you'd like. Ball Earth.
I could go on all day.
All right, so go. Good. What do you got? Give me something.
I already gave you plenty.
All right, so you think that's enough to convince people that the
No,
Earth is a ball?
all the videos you guys are using can be proven that all the examples are exaggerated.
In your opinion, go ahead.
No, not in my opinion.
It
Uh,
is your opinion.
okay, so but you won't endorse Eric Dubay. Can we talk more about Eric Dubay's ridiculous exaggerations? Or
You know what? Eric Dubay has done some fantastic research. You know,
yeah,
his
he's a
comparison.
Nazi, isn't he? A Nazi? Aren't you Jewish?
Who cares? I don't care. I don't. I pay attention to stuff that doesn't involve me. It doesn't matter.
If I was Jewish and a guy was doing swastikas or doing Nazi hand signals, I would kind of care. But that's just me.
But I'm not a fan of Eric Dubay. He banned me from his chat room the first time I went in there. He has a page. I think he has a thread about me, but I don't focus on that because he's not my cup of tea. But he if you watch his videos about the northern and southern hemisphere, the equal latitudes on the life that's there, and the weather conditions, they should be equal 6 months apart, but they're not.
Yeah, they are. So you are Jewish, right?
Who cares?
And Patricia.
Who cares? We don't even know your name.
Spear.
Who cares?
Who's
Who's the racist here? What do you care?
Well, it's just
I'm Muslim. All right, I'm Muslim.
No, you're Jewish.
Who the fuck cares?
And Patricia Steer is Jewish too.
Look at you. All right, I think we're pretty much done. And unless you really want to come up with something else,
well, hold on. It's just interesting.
What's interesting?
It's interesting. There's a lot of apparently Jewish actors and wannabe actors and media people that are leading the flat Earth movement. And
there's a lot of Jewish people running the friggin' world. Look at the percentage of Jewish people running the country. There is an imbalance. Why is that? I don't know. I don't care.
It's also interesting that you don't care about some neo-Nazi guy that's leading the movement, and that's just not a big deal to you, and you're Jewish.
Do you know what? If you focus on what you don't like, you're going to attract more of it to you. You should know that very well. All right. But if you focus on what you like, your life will change.
I'm going to Heil Hitler all day.
I don't know. Does he say that? Because I don't listen to Eric Dubay.
Yeah, you saw his little rap videos.
I've never heard Eric Dubay say that.
Okay, well, the guy's full of shit. There's tons of examples of his exaggerations, his tall tales from hundreds of years ago that you guys keep like repeating like parrots that are supposedly real stories. They can't be reproduced. And just go look at fucking that skyline of Toronto.
Am I repeating everything that Eric Dubay says?
No, but you guys build on all your little lies, and then when the lies get called out, you say, "Oh, I don't endorse that person."
If that's your argument, great. I'm not interested.
It is my argument. All you guys have your own little incorrect statements you make, and then when somebody gets called out, you just say, "Oh, I'm not associated with them."
All right. Anything? Any other proofs that you have that the Earth is flat? That the Earth is flat? I just made the link public. If anybody wants to chime in, or we can end it right now.
Let's see, more proofs that the Earth is flat. You weren't able to explain how skylines vanish from the bottom to the top, such as the CN Tower. You go across, look at Toronto. By the time you get further and further away, only the top of the CN Tower and a couple of the other super tall skyscrapers, the very tops are visible. It's a sphere. It's obviously a sphere. You can watch boats sail over the horizon. Something you say is optical illusion because our eyes are lenses or whatever. You've got solar and lunar eclipses, only explainable if there's an object passing in between the moon and the Earth, and you guys say it's an invisible planet? I mean,
I don't say that.
Okay, so what is it?
I don't know.
It's easier. No, it's explained by the solar system model, and flat Earth cannot explain it. Just like the longer
it is not. And again, I'll add videos that show that.
Okay, is it going to be hopefully it's not an Eric Dubay video?
Anything else that you'd like to add as your proof, other than claiming what other people are saying about other people?
Who's one of the main guys? He was connected to NASA that's leading this flat Earth thing. Who's the main guy that's a former NASA employee?
I have no idea.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. There's one of you guys. It's like a NASA. He's former NASA. I was watching this video where a whole bunch of flat Earth people were driving around. I can't find this video again, but maybe you can help me find it. And they're all talking about like being reborn, a flat earther, and a lot of them mentioned that they had relatives in NASA. You ever seen that one?
No.
Okay. Anyway, and
there's probably people that are in the flat Earth movement that are just putting stuff out like the Flat Earth Society. I believe that's completely controlled, but I don't focus on it. I don't really even know what they say. I went there once and saw that it was crap and never went back.
And you'll admit that it seems like all these flat Earth videos have like the most advanced introduction screens that seem to be produced by some sort of a agency.
Like mine.
Yours is pretty flashy. Yeah, you got your DITRH.
So Fiverr, Fivver, or 2 R's, whatever it is. For $5, anybody can get
yours
a logo made.
Yours is not what
$5 And Jaren's, who are the most flashy, he did that. It's ridiculous. It doesn't take any effort. With the iMovie and the Macintosh, you can do anything. I didn't even know how to make a video.
A lot of freaking video effects, that's for sure.
Hey, you know what? There's some great video makers out there, like ODD TV.
These people remind me of the Planet X videos.
What's wrong with putting out some quality work?
These people they moved from PSYOP to PSYOP, and they went from Planet X to this, and it's all Planet X people. It's all Nibiru.
No, I'm not a Planet X person.
Putting out the Nibiru stuff that moved on to this. That's what this is. It's the next thing to focus on. Instead of fucking talking about Sandy Hook, instead of talking about fucking Annie Haddad being Nancy Lanza, we're talking about the Earth being flat with your clock behind you and your T-shirt. Okay. So you controlled the dialogue. Congratulations. You guys win. You win. This is what all the money has been.
This is just like you with Annie Haddad. We have people like you that are throwing out garbage like this, and the truth will prevail. So sit tight. And by the way, whenever you realize the Earth is flat, you're welcome in with open arms.
The Earth isn't flat. Like I've been pointing out, you got longer summers in the southern hemisphere. You cannot explain that with your model, period.
Yeah, you can.
You can't explain solar eclipses without making up a fucking invisible planet that doesn't exist. Like Patricia Steer, what'd she call it? She had some wacky name for the fake invisible planet. I mean, this stuff is so stupid. Come on. This is stupid. There's an invisible fucking planet. That's the only way you can explain a solar eclipse or lunar eclipse. Does that make any more sense than a solar system model?
You know what? If you look into the model more and see the limitations of where we live, the fact that we are in an enclosed system, and that is pretty much beyond question, although you can still question it. There's a lot of stuff that we don't understand, and there's a lot of possibilities in the physical reality that we live in. It may not even be physical. This 3D reality that we're experiencing is not what we think it is. It's way beyond the depth
Elon Musk.
Of this. What about Elon?
You've been watching Elon Musk?
I actually have not. I'm not a fan of Elon Musk. I believe he's just another arm of NASA.
Well, yeah, I don't think SpaceX is.
Do you believe that SpaceX rocket landed, goes up and lands upright?
No, I don't.
All right. Well, we're on the same page.
Well, I think, I don't know. Like, you seem to be a pretty smart guy, and I feel like your heart is in the right place, which is weird because a lot of these flat Earth people, I don't trust at all. You seem to have some understanding of a lot of events, but I think you're just completely off base on this flat Earth stuff. And I want to believe it's just because you're naive, but I just don't. I'm just not sure how somebody who's apparently a smart person could just overlook all of these things that I'm bringing up. Oh, Australia, for example. Can you take your flat Earth clock down off a wall so we can see the?
What is your point?
Australia is okay. If you take out a globe, do you have a globe by any chance?
No.
You probably burned it, right? Anyway, you take that out, you measure the distances from Darwin down to Melbourne, and then from Perth over to Sydney. What you're getting are driving distances that people drive every single day. It's a very fixed amount of distance. Now, if you look at your little flat Earth clock, it's stretched
The map
out.
Is wrong.
The map is wrong.
The map is wrong, yeah. We don't have an accurate map. We don't have an accurate map of the globe Earth.
Yes, we do. It's called the globe. It's exactly accurate.
It's not. Google Earth and Google Maps uses two different maps. It's not accurate.
What?
It's
Google
not
Earth
accurate.
and Google Maps uses two different maps.
Yes, it's not accurate.
But
So why do ships captains, shipping when they're going east, constantly have to correct to the north? And the answer is because there's no such thing as due east or due west. There's only magnetic east and magnetic west, which is a circle around the center point.
Are you reading something?
No.
No. Okay. But you're admitting that your map's all wrong.
I'm admitting that it's the closest thing we have, but there are issues with
in reality. You should be able to exactly represent what's going on.
How can any civilian possibly do that?
Well, if you take out a globe and you measure the distances, they work out.
The globe is so wrong. It's not even. They admit it's wrong.
You're admitting nobody's admitting the globe's wrong. You just admitted your flat Earth model was wrong.
The size of not my flat Earth model.
You're using a projection.
The AE map. The AE map is not accurate. We've gone over this. You and I will not agree on this. Everybody, do your own research. I'll try to add
yes,
links.
Please do.
That'll help you.
Research projections, people. You can do an azimuthal equidistant projection from the South Pole. And
you can do it from wherever you want.
Hold on. If you do it azimuthal equidistant projection from the South Pole, it will distort the northern hemisphere the same way the southern hemisphere is distorted by using the azimuthal equidistant projection from the North Pole. The distances become stretched out. Of course it does. Of course it would. It's because it's a projection. It's because what you guys are basing the entire thing on is a projection. Admit it.
You're taking a ball which has two poles and doing one thing to one pole and saying, isn't it weird that if you do the same thing to the other pole, the same thing happens? Well, yeah, because you're using the wrong model.
Only works with the sphere.
No, that doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. That's what we're talking about. It's the whole point.
Okay. You and I will disagree on that as we have on everything else.
You can do an azimuthal equidistant projection from any point on Earth.
Absolutely.
I
agree.
And you said nobody goes to Antarctica, right?
No. What I meant is there's no access to deep inside Antarctica. There's 3 spots from Chile, Johannesburg, and I believe New Zealand, where you can take guided tours at certain times of the year for certain periods of time to the outer edge of Antarctica. And that's it. Nobody else is allowed to go into Antarctica. You're not allowed to do anything. There's the Antarctic Treaty, which happened at the same time, the same year that NASA went up and goes, Van Allen radiation belt. So now we have a fence around us and a fence over us.
That's your opinion.
Well, no, it's not my opinion that the Antarctic Treaty and NASA happened in 1959 or thereafter.
There's some connection. That's
my opinion. That there's a connection, but they did put a fence around us and a fence over us at those times.
How many people are going to the North Pole?
I don't know. I don't know if anyone's been there or what the hell's going on there. I haven't been there.
Well, it should be easy to access, right? The only thing stopping us is a sheet of ice. It's a whole bunch of ice, right? And I
don't know. Is it? Maybe there's a tropical land there. I have no idea what's in the North Pole. Okay,
for the same reasons people aren't always going to the North Pole is the same reason they don't go to the South Pole. In fact, the South Pole is more inaccessible.
That's not true at all. No one's allowed to go to the South Pole because there is no South Pole.
Yes, there is. Okay, it's just
Listen, we're going back and forth like children here. We're done. We're not agreeing with that. Do you have anything else? If you think your argument's done, great. Congratulations. And let's say goodbye.
You seem to want to end this conversation.
The conversation's kind of not going anywhere because you're not bringing up any more flat Earth proofs.
No, I'm destroying you, and now you're trying to run away, which is funny. Because you've got a whole bunch of stories from 200 years ago. They're your proofs.
No, I don't have any stories from 200 years ago.
So you're denying that you see back to seeing a skyline disappear over a lake, Toronto, for example. You're denying
that you don't understand perspective. We're doing the same thing again and again, but go ahead.
It's not perspective.
Okay.
Perspective is a totally different thing. What we're seeing is the bottom of objects disappear first and only the extremely tall parts of the object visible. Exactly what you would expect. What are you reading?
What do you mean? What am I reading?
Are you getting like fed your little answer or what? You can't think?
Yeah, that's it. I'm getting fed answers. Nobody's feeding me anything. I'm just waiting for you to come up with a point so I can comment on it.
Okay, so explain solar eclipse. Is there an invisible object in between these?
I told you, I don't understand that, so I get one wrong. All right, I don't understand it. There are other people that have lots of explanations. I don't know which one is right. I don't fully understand it. But what I do understand is that the moon, supposedly 138,000 miles away, at the size it is, would be invisible, right? Due to perspective. But we can't go down that road because you'll disagree with that.
The moon should be invisible?
The moon, you shouldn't be able to see the moon at the distance. It should disappear to nothing at about a third of the distance. But we can see it. And with my P900, I could zoom in and see very close details. I could zoom in so I can zoom in and won't even see the edge of the moon. But how is that possible if it's 138,000 miles away? How is it possible that the moon is equally lit from edge to edge and it's supposedly reflecting light from the sun? And that sun that's bouncing off and casting a shadow on the earth. It's ridiculous to think that if you light up a sphere, it has a hot spot on it and the edges fade away. But when you look at the full moon, it's lit up like it's lit up from inside. Somebody did an experiment where they lit a ball up from the inside and it looks just like the moon.
Okay, first of all, it would reflect light if it was covered in a fluid. But
okay, so if it's covered in fluid, it's reflecting light. There would be a hot spot
cat
in the center.
We need a cat to walk in, like lift the veil.
Yeah, I planned that. Naki, right on cue.
No,
good job.
You guys are all cat people. It's so funny.
Who the hell cares?
Cat people.
Do you have a pet?
Anyway. I'm not going to tell you anything about my personal life, but
all right, great. Me. Listen, Paul, I am chickening out at this point because you got me over a ball, and I'm going to have to rethink my life. All right, so I'm going to end it.
You're ending it.
Well, you really don't have anything else to contribute. Bring it on.
So you're denying that there's longer summers in the Southern Hemisphere. You just admitted that Australia.
I didn't deny that.
You admitted that the whole map's wrong. The flat Earth map is totally wrong.
I admitted that the actual exact layout of all of the southern land masses may not be exactly right.
Well, that's a huge problem, isn't it?
Does that mean that the world, that doesn't mean anything?
You don't even have a working model.
No, we have a working model. We don't have the actual we don't have the exact accurate we don't have a map of the globe. It's not accurate.
It should be. You should have a working model by now. You got nothing.
You have nothing on the ball. Zero.
Yes, I do. It's called a fucking globe. How many times?
And so the globe is right. So Greenland is the correct size compared to Africa, correct?
No, Greenland's smaller than Africa.
So no, it on the map proportionally it's correct.
On the globe, it's correct. Only thing is exactly representational is a globe. Everything else is a projection.
We got the Robinson projection. Disagree there.
We got the Mercator projection. We got the azimuthal equidistant projection. This is how you take a round object and make it flat. Okay? That's what you're dealing with. You've built a whole religion around a projection, and it's sad that you're sucking people into this.
Okay. We can agree to disagree with that. I'll try to put
there's all sorts of flights in the Southern Hemisphere that if your map was correct, which you admitted it isn't, would be thousands and thousands of miles longer than they actually are.
So how fast do planes fly?
Apparently they fly at 600 miles an hour at sea level, if you believe the 9/11 story. They're about 600 miles.
So how fast do planes fly?
It depends what altitude they're at. Well, how thick the air is.
So let me ask you
there's different airplanes. Like there's different fucking airplanes.
So let me ask,
miles an hour, 660 miles an hour.
So let me ask you a question. If somebody was flying a certain distance at 660 miles an hour, and somebody was flying that same distance at 1,320 miles an hour, how far would the second plane travel in the same amount of time, or how long would it take? Half the time. Or twice the distance. Even less than half the time, because the point is you don't know how fast planes are flying. Okay, and the ones that take those
you can figure out very easily using triangulation on the ground. You know what triangulation is?
Triangulation, if the map was right and you could use triangulation, but you can't when you're going from
What?
if you're going from the tip of Chile to Australia.
Yeah, take that thing off the wall. Let's look at this thing.
You know what? That doesn't matter. The point is, if you're going that distance at twice the speed, it would work. You don't know what speed you're going at. You look at, if you look at all the plane flights, they go up to the northern hemisphere
Actually,
and back down.
You're going at. You can look out the window of the airplane. If suddenly you were going twice the speed, I think people would be noticing.
No, you wouldn't notice.
Yeah, you would. Yeah,
no, you wouldn't.
You can watch
at altitude. At altitude, you barely see the land move.
So you're saying airplanes are capable of flying 1,300 miles an hour? Is that what you're saying?
If they're capable of flying faster than the speed of sound, would you agree that they can go even faster than just that?
No, only airlines are engineered so like you can't have a 767 going 1,300 miles an hour. Its maximum cruising speed, I think, is about 660, 670 miles an hour.
Who told you that?
I've been on an airplane before. I've looked out the window. You can see exactly how fast you're flying.
No, you can't. That's impossible. That's ridiculous. At altitude, if you accelerated to a faster speed, you would never know it unless you have things whizzing by your window and somehow you could calculate it. But you can't.
No,
just so far away that you can't tell how fast you're going. There's been planes on radar tracked at over 900 miles an hour, which is certainly faster than sound. So that whole sound barrier thing is a myth.
It's probably what's it called? A Thunderbird?
A commercial airline. Commercial airlines have been tracked over 900 miles an hour on radar.
What's the proof of this? It's on
commercial
radar?
Airline radar. Yeah.
Is this the tall tale we don't have any proof about? Like everything.
No, there's videos. There's the videos. There's lots of videos. I believe there's one on my channel too.
And they got United Airlines flying at 900 miles an hour somewhere.
It wasn't United Airlines, but it was another big airline. I forget what it was. It was a foreign airline.
A foreign airline.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, CG.
Qantas.
Whatever. Yeah. And the Qantas flights that make those long trips, those are special airplanes. I don't know about them.
The ones that PK said he was going to shoot down or whatever. That
right.
The guy with the Jewish last name.
Again, with the track you're going on, do you have anything else flat Earth related?
Adam Joseph Doty joined this video call.
Hey, who's Adam. That?
No, I don't want to talk to this guy.
How you doing?
I don't know who this is.
Yeah, well,
this is you and me, man. This is you and me. This is going to be some tag team. Whoa, you just... I don't want to... No, I didn't agree to talk to some weird dude I never met before. Adam Joseph. I don't want to talk to this guy.
All right, Adam, sit tight.
Go away.
What else?
Any more surprises gonna pop up?
I told you I put the link open, and because the conversation wasn't going anywhere.
I mentioned that PK was Jewish, and then this guy popped.
Who cares? Get onto the flat Earth. Forget everyone's religion. Forget everyone what they do for a living. Assume that we're all shills. What is your proof that we live on a spinning ball?
Can we get this guy out of here?
Here, sure.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it sounds. Yeah, I couldn't hear very well because something was going on. So I proved my points. Like. You can't have the exact amount of daylight that's reaching the surface of the Earth unless it's on a sphere. And the sphere model perfectly, as everybody's living on Earth, they're experiencing, they know when the sun's going up, coming down. You said it's fake webcams.
So let me ask you a question. Why at equal latitudes is twilight in the northern hemisphere like 60 minutes long, give or take, and in the southern hemisphere it's less than 5 minutes from light to pitch black?
Well, which point are we talking about? Which latitude?
We're talking Johannesburg, and up here to
I can't see anymore. Can you do your screen share again? I'm just seeing your logo. I can't see what you're talking about.
I'm just talking. I'm not sharing anything. It's just my image.
I can't see you anymore.
So in the southern hemisphere, twilight in the outer lower southern hemisphere. Twilight goes from 5 minutes. It happens in 5 minutes. It goes from light to pitch black. Okay. And that doesn't happen in the northern hemisphere. And that cannot be explained on a ball Earth.
No, what I don't. I've never seen this demonstrated. I don't know what you're talking about. How it gets pitch black all of a sudden.
I will be getting video of that. I've had
I can't wait.
Friends.
This is like all the other experiments. We can't wait. We're anticipating this awesome experiment.
It's not an experiment. It's just an observation that people just don't really think about until they're asked to think about it, and then you look at it, and there it is.
Is this one going to be in your kitchen too, or
anything else you have?
What else? What else do you have? What proofs do you have? You got nothing.
I mean, I have tons, and they're all out there. I have hundreds of videos. There's tons. If you go to my website, deepinsidetherabbithole.com, I have a lot of other people's videos that if you take the time and go through them, you'll learn the truth about our planet. I'm not going to sit here and reiterate flat Earth proofs that everyone has access to. I'm looking for proofs that the Earth is a ball.
I thought that's what we were doing.
No. I'm looking for proofs that the Earth is a ball, and you've delivered none. I know that you disagree. You haven't given me any.
Tall objects disappear from bottom to top.
There we go. You'll have to learn about how our eyes work and the vanishing point.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, okay, Flat Earth is plain ridiculous. Do a search for that while we're plugging stuff here.
Yeah. Okay. Anything you'd like to plug, Paul?
Well, I think I definitely there's a lot of points that you just cannot answer. Got a whole bunch of stories from hundreds of years ago. And I think I made my point pretty well, actually. You can't debunk any of this. You say there's an invisible planet between.
I don't say that at all. I told you I don't fully understand how it works.
Do you think we're floating on a
flat Earth?
Do you think we're floating on a pancake with an infinite amount of land underneath it, and there's a firmament? Is that what you believe?
So you think that we're spinning on a ball flying through infinite space with no ends?
Yeah, I think that's a lot more logical than what you're proposing.
We're on a flat stationary plane. Everything our senses tell us show that. You can sense it, you can feel it, you can see it, but you believe what men tell you.
No, I believe the sunset. I believe watching the sun go from the sky where it's the same size.
Watch my sunset videos. It shows the sun getting eclipsed by land horizons, cloud horizons, and it also shows the sun disappearing into the distance that globers believe is.
No, it should become sunset. A tiny little dot.
It does, but by the time it gets that small,
no, it doesn't.
Go watch my videos. I have.
I don't need to watch your videos. I can watch the sunset. Well, I don't want to watch your video.
You don't see. Are you in a place where where you're on a high, dry plain with clear air and flat land?
I'm near the ocean.
Yeah, well, that's not high. That's not high and dry. You have layers of atmosphere, and over the water, it's the worst. And the atmosphere is in layers, and as your perspective cuts through that atmosphere, geometrically, it progresses more and more to the point where there's a hard line that the sun gets eclipsed above your eye line.
So you're not one of those people that says that the water should be running off the other side of the earth, or are you? Or
if the earth was a ball, I can't even imagine that. So I don't even comment on that. The earth is flat.
But the moon is round. The moon is round.
When you go into the forest, are you a tree? No. Are we a light in the sky? No, we're not a light in the sky. We're on an earthly plane. That's it. This is where we live, and the fact that we see lights in the sky doesn't mean that how come we're not a light in the sky? The Earth is not a rock floating above us.
But there's some rock getting in between the Earth and the sun.
No, that's not a rock. There's no rocks above us.
It's an invisible planet. What did Patricia Steele?
I don't know what it's called. You're talking Rahu. You're talking about Rahu. I don't know enough about it.
You know what it's called.
I've heard it, yeah, but I don't know enough about it.
You didn't know what it was called before, but now you know. That's good. Came back to you.
It just came back to me, right?
Rahu.
I'm trying to listen to you.
That sounds like Yahoo or Rahu, or that's a pretty awesome name. It sounds like Nibiru.
Paul, at this point, I'm sure people are really getting annoyed with your jokes. Do you have anything else?
Do you? I mean,
there's tons. My website has a couple weeks worth of information. If you want to learn more about the flat Earth, I'm assuming most of the people here already know it. But if you're on the fence, take the time and check out the videos and make up your own mind. Don't believe Paul. Don't believe me.
Definitely don't believe you.
All right, Paul. Your annoyingness is reached my limit, so you can claim that I'm bailing out, but I'm pretty much done. All right.
Okay.
Want to say goodbye?
Good talk. Yeah. We'll see you again in the future.
See you, man. And that's it. If anybody wants to jump on, you can. But you know what? I think I'm going to end the broadcast, and I will re-upload this with a lot of videos that I talked about and whatnot. Who's this?
Hey, I don't think the Glover people are being very fairly represented by someone who's anti-NASA.
I'm not sure exactly what you're saying. You have a really bad connection.
Sorry, last guy was against NASA. He could have used disprove yours. Probably could have been somehow.
All right, make a video about it. Send it my way, and I'll share it if it's anything that proves flat or round. I'm not opposed to sharing other. Everybody, thanks. I hope that was enjoyable. See ya.
All right.